Okay, today should be a lot of fun. I'm going to head over to Coosa Valley Performance and Machine in Cartersville, Georgia. That's the machine shop that's got my engine. I took it over there a couple of days ago to kind of get it in the queue lines, and now that I got a call last night saying that they're going to be able to get to it today, and they agreed to allow me to bring a camera in and just kind of take some snippets of the different things they're going to do to it. So I'm going to enjoy today because I'm a process guy, and I just like to be able to see all the processes and kind of be excited to be able to share that with you as well. So let's head over to the shop and see what's going on.
Okay, the process begins by we've got to clean everything. All the parts went into either this vat or a washer that you're going to see in a minute, and it's almost took a whole day of cleaning parts. You want to clean everything before you take the measurements and start making decisions on all the parts that they have. Here's a look at the washer. Especially the aluminum parts, a lot of the nuts and bolts kind of would go in here, would cycle through this parts washer. I believe it's just water and maybe a solvent of some sort to kind of loosen up the dirt. Just before this process, he had measured the previous valves, and now he's got the new valves installed. And he's taking a measurement to find out how much he needs to take off the length of these valves to make them equivalent to the original. And now over to a grinder. This is where he's adjusting those new valve lengths, making them the proper length. Now he's going to lube them up, get those inserted in, and then actually do a final check on length. Now he's inserting the valve stem seals. While that valve moves up and down, you need to make sure that the valve stem seals keep oil from, on this top side, getting down past those valve stems and getting into the combustion engine. Now he's inserting the brand new springs. These are the springs that came with the new cam. He's got the spring and the perch, and then he's compressing the spring and then inserting some locks. And now we've got the block mounted into the boring machine. We're going to bore this 20 thousandths over. There's a little bit of a taper. When he did a measurement of those blocks, there's a little bit of a taper in there, and to get that out, he thought he could get it out by taking off 20 thousandths. So first we ordered the pistons, the 20,000 over pistons, and brought those in, took measurements, and now we're going to make this block match those new pistons. All right, after the honing process, now we come over to the decking or surface machine, and this is slow going. We're actually putting a brand new deck surface on the block itself. There, I've got it going in fast motion. This took a lot of time. We actually went 3 passes on this deck, at a very slow and very small increment to get this right, but boy, it sure did come out really nice and clean and straight. Now we're taking the new pistons that are 20 thousandths over stock, and he's taking measurements. He transferred that measurement to this measuring device. He's taken initial reading on the current size of these bores, and now we're actually going to do what's called honing. And this, I was surprised, this took actually 4 different grits of stone for this process. He went through all 8 cylinders with this first set of stones, then moved to a second set of stones, and then third and fourth. Then once he has those cylinders the exact size that he wants, he then runs this a fifth time through them. This is actually a set of almost like rubber brushes. It's just trying to remove any loose metal parts from each of those cylinders. Once that's done, we actually put the whole block back in that vat and did a final wash on it, and now we're installing the cam bearings. Once we had all the cam bearings in, he went ahead and installed the new cam. He wanted to make sure all those bearings did line up perfectly. And once he got this cam installed, you can see where he actually pulls it out a little bit, and then he applies lube on those cam bearings. And per his recommendation, we went ahead and left the cam installed in the block, packaged it all up, and that part will be done. This next process is part of balancing the crank. We took all kinds of measurements on these new rods. And the key is we're trying to come up with what they call a bob weight amount, and it's some kind of funky measurement of the big end of the piston twice and this and that. I listen and follow along. It made a lot of sense, but it has to do with the weight of the piston, the weight of the wrist pin, the weight of this rod, as well as the bearings and even an oil allowance to come up with an exact weight that we needed to create so that we could fill some bob weights. Alright, this is the bob weights. We've actually made some adjustments to the weight of them to make them equal to that amount that we just calculated. And in just a minute we'll be installing these on the crank itself. Here they are installed, getting ready to test this crank for balance. Here we are balancing the crank itself. And here's the balanced crank running with no other accessories on it. So now we know this portion of it's balanced. And next we add the harmonic balancer on the front and the new flywheel on the back. And you can see where that flywheel is jumping just a little bit, so we know that the flywheel's off a little bit. This is after we've taken that flywheel off and did some balancing on it. Now it's running perfectly smooth. And this is at, I think he said 5,000 or 6,000 RPMs here. So we got a smooth ride throughout the entire RPM range. This final section is where we're actually polishing the journals on the crank. And the final step was installing the new rods on the pistons. Interestingly, the rods are offset, so 4 of them get installed one direction, and then the other 4 get installed 180 degrees out.
Jack it up.